And go. Hey guys, how's it going? Drew Danger here. Today we got something special going on. We're gonna have Laura just talk and talk about some subjects and explain some things that are of great importance. I think that everybody needs to hear. Um, this isn't about Power Rangers. This isn't about comic books. This is about life. And I think that it's very important that we have times where we express this and do it often because a lot of us go through a lot of things. And I think that if there's anybody that understands it better than most, it would be Laura for sure. So, Laura, if you're ready, go ahead.
I guess I don't know where to start. Um, just having a bad anxiety moment, and I wanted to put it out to um, cause it's real. It's 100% real. I go through anxiety. That's why I started doing this to help others that go through anxiety. And I'm just feeling it right now.
You want to talk a little bit about what you're feeling?
Um, I feel like, well, right before we hit record for the segment we just recorded, I felt it, um, but I held it together.
Mhm.
Um, I just kept breathing. But this is me. I struggle with anxiety. Sorry, that's my phone.
Oh, it's okay. Do you mind if I chime in a little bit?
Go ahead.
Okay. Um, all I really want you to tell him is channel how you feel with anxiety, because the people who have anxiety, Laura, know exactly what you're feeling. They know exactly what you're going through. So I want you to share from a place of people who get it. Don't be scared to show that side of what you're dealing with, because the struggle, like you said, is very real. So let us know, what you need to be tough through it, what
I
you
wrote
do.
a bunch of notes, and I wrote this right before Drew pushed record.
Hmm.
When we recorded our first session, it was want to crawl and lay on the floor. I kept telling myself to hold it together, keep breathing, because you two had a segment to get through, and I
Hmm.
wanted to hold it together for you two.
I appreciate that.
And I just don't feel. I don't know. It just as soon as he stopped recording, that's when it all just flooded out. And I feel things very, very deeply.
Right.
Any hurts, any.
Mhm.
Let me get a rag. Go ahead and talk,
Yeah,
Regan.
do your thing. I just think you're an empath. That's all. That's all that means. That means that you feel everything deeply like that because you're strongly connected to it and in tune with your feelings, and they have a big effect over you. And like I was saying before, anxiety is worrying about something that's not very there. It's not there. You know what I mean? Like the Bible talks about anxiety and how to fight it, you know, and giving it's whispers of the enemy. You know what I'm saying? Not to get too religious on you, but that's really what it is. And I feel like it's a battle of the mind. Um, I think it's the mind versus the soul, man. I really think that's what anxiety is, Laura. It's your intellect, your thoughts battling your heart, and your mind trying to tell your heart something that isn't true or that bothers you. You know what I'm saying? I really think I hate to break everything down to a spiritual level, but that's what it is. Spiritual warfare in your mind. I think the Indians have an old saying: "There's the dark wolf and the light wolf," right? Like which the dark wolf is the dark thoughts in your mind, and the light is the light wolf. Which one do you feed? You know what I'm saying? And then that's the animal you become. So I think anyone struggling with anxiety, seeing what Laura's going through, understands that it's upstairs. It's in the mind. I think it starts. It's a battle of the mind and the intellect versus the soul.
And
So
it's just
how do you win against that?
those voices of I'm nothing, less than, I keep hearing those are the voices that I try to fight, you
Hmm.
know, and that comes from childhood, from being told that repeatedly. It's true that if told something so many times, you start to believe it.
Mm.
And as a child, you're told that repeatedly by everyone, it becomes a part of you. So I've tried my best to fight back against those voices, and some days those voices are so loud. They're just louder than other days. And
Can I offer a solution? I think you got to change the conversation, right? When you hear the voices in your head, when you hear them yelling all those things, change the conversation. Change the radio station, right? Like it's a frequency in the car, right? You don't like the song coming out the radio, change the station. So whatever.
usually,
Go ahead.
usually I'm really good at that. Um, I don't know what my problem is tonight though, but usually I'm okay with doing that, you know. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
but I
Yeah,
guess I
you gotta break the connection from what your mind is telling your heart, right? And then your heart is basically your soul, right?
That's true.
that's
Heart and soul go together. So,
something about me is again I feel everything so deeply.
mhm.
I, I've not really told a lot of people this, um, but it's August, right? So
Mhm.
middle of July, I I had a friend who her Dad had a stroke. I think I've told you about him, Regan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because he uses medical marijuana to help with the stroke symptoms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I went one weekend. It was just supposed to be one weekend. Kay asked me, we'll just call her Kay. Actually, we'll just say her name, Carissa. Her name
Mm-hmm.
is Carissa. Carissa called me and wanted me to come help her with her dad for the weekend
Mm-hmm.
because he had fallen. She just had a baby, and she had all these things going on. And of course, I said yes. So she put me in a hotel room along with her dad. Um, and somewhere in that, we went shopping, and she said, "Can you stay for the rest of the week?"
Mm-hmm.
And even though I had only packed for 3 days, we had been friends for 3 years. And I said, fine,
Mm-hmm.
I will do that, you know. And we stayed in 8 days. I was up there. We stayed in 4 different hotel rooms. Um, because of his stroke, his mind is not quite. I had a stroke as well, so
Mm-hmm.
I understand. There were two things he lost in the hotel rooms. So his hat, his Marine hat, because he was in the Marine Corps,
Mm-hmm.
and then a cross that he kept in his pocket that was really special to him. A cross that I never touched. I got blamed for both of them,
Mm-hmm.
and I heard about it for the rest of the time. And there were some little things that, long story short, when I got home, she decided that she didn't want to be my friend anymore. Her text was, um, I'll send you your money, but please don't ever contact me again.
Mm-hmm.
For 3 years, I've been friends with this person, and I just gone up to spend 8 days with her to help out her dad.
Mm-hmm.
I felt very betrayed, and I felt very. I've not dealt with this. I've kind of pushed it away, like it's fine. I'm okay. It's fine. But that sense of betrayal is still there.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this is coming out now, and all this anxiety and what we were just talking about, Regan,
Mm-hmm.
being ghosted, and you know, I mean, I flew to Houston
Mm-hmm.
for her to say nope.
Right. No, I could see why that would hurt you for sure,
Absolutely.
for sure. But at the same time, everybody's got their own healing, you know. So
No, I get it that she had just lost her husband.
yeah, maybe she got triggered, and her flight or her what is it, flight or fight or flight, Some people when that gets triggered, all logic goes out the window sometimes, I'm not making excuses for her, but I'm just saying
Yeah,
you never know what somebody's going through, right? So it's like our minds make the situation something that half the time it's not really like that.
yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
just the feelings of feeling not good. Like I gave my best to Carissa and her dad,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and it wasn't good enough.
Hmm.
So it's like I give my best. I mean, that's just the person I am. If I'm your friend, I will do absolutely anything for you. And I have.
Hmm.
Like my friend Carlette, who I've talked about,
Mm-hmm.
I stayed in the hospital with her for 3 days,
Mm-hmm.
waiting for her to pass because I didn't want her to die alone.
Yeah, that's big
Then I
heart.
then I walked her to walked her body to the as far as I could to the morgue, as far as they would let me, because I didn't want her to be alone. That's the type of friend I am, and it bothers me that it hurts me so deeply.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. You having high receptors in emotion, you're an empath. You can't control that. You're a literal emotional superhero. It has its curse, it has its gifts. You can walk in a room and probably feel the pain in the room. Like, when someone walks in the room, you can sense the energy in the room. I guarantee you can walk in a room and you know exactly who's in pain
Yeah,
just by looking at their face, right?
yeah.
Right? So that's a gift. That's borderline telekinesis, right? Because if you walk in a room and you got specific goggles on and you see everyone's aura and force field, the heart literally makes a gumball of energy around you, sometimes in different colors depending on what chakra you're working with. You know what I mean? So there's levels to this. Laura, you're approaching a line. Everything's got a ceiling and a level, like a totem, right? So if your pain and your trauma starts in your lower chakra, you're elevating yourself spiritually because you're not letting your trauma define you, right? You break the connection between your mental intellect and what your brain and your mind, the devil, whatever you want to call it, the powers that be, the voices. I know what it is, right? When you hear the devil whispering, you break that connection because you know what is true, right? You know what you've been through is very real. You know the anxiety is very real, but you also know you don't have to listen, and you know that it's not true. I guarantee you, half of the things that those voices are telling you, if not all of them, aren't true. And what if I told you that the same way God knew you before you were even born, right? Like it says, in the womb, I knew you before you knew you, right? So you don't think the enemy knows you and knows 20, 30 years down the line after your trauma, who you're going to save, who you're going to talk to, what good you're going to do? What if you were a threat before you were even in the womb, before you even were a thought, which is why the devil made it his job to make sure you were broken down every moment of your life. So when you get here to where you're sitting right now, you're just this broken down, full of anxiety, stressed out. You know what I'm saying? No weapon of nothing for nobody. Surrender to your traumas, your past, the negativity. He's got you right where he's got you. So not only do you fall to this and succumb to the negativity and to the people that you could potentially save by what you went through and being able to share your story, he knows that. Of course, he's going to try to take you out before you get going. Of course, he's whispering behind your ear every chance you get because once you recognize what you can actually do, right? When you've been through
I
the
told
darkness,
That's why I
it's just,
told Joe to push record.
yeah, this is good. You are not alone. Like you tell us all the time to tell them, right? Tell everybody they're not alone. And I think your problem is you're dwelling. I know I like to dwell. When something happens, I feel it deeply too because I'm very passionate. You know, I'm a very passionate person. So pain is not something I like to deal with. And when it does happen, it's hard for me to let go of it. So I've recognized my trigger. I've recognized what sparks bad behavior or anxietic behavior in me. So you just need to recognize your triggers.
Well, here's the thing, I don't mind being triggered if I can work through it.
Right. Battle through it. So you having high levels of feeling inadequacies. Your mind is automatically programmed, right? Let's try to deprogram and unprogram your mind a little bit. The same way I'm programmed with uh, abandonment issues with my family and my trauma. That's that's your program. So once you understand your programming, you can unprogram. You know what I'm saying? So recognizing the traumas is the first step when you're getting there. So when people abandon me and I feel abandonment issues, that's when I get my worst anxiety.
Mhm.
I feel like someone left me or abandoned me or dissed me. It's hard to let that go, because of everything I've been through with my parents and my relationships and stuff like that. So when someone makes you feel like you're not good enough, that's where your rabbit hole is. So when
Mhm.
you understand to not go in the rabbit hole, you won't have this problem anymore. You'll know when to avoid it.
It's rejection. Anytime it's rejection, it's hard. Rejection is hard.
Inadequacy, yeah. Anytime you feel inadequate, it triggers all that weight, frustration, all the negativity, everything you've been through, everything you've heard, everything that they've said to you. The moment you feel inadequate, you know what I mean? I think that's step one, Laura.
Yeah.
And honestly, God sees all, right? So the people telling you you're not good enough are good enough for what exactly? Because, right, God will take a nobody in front of everybody and make them a somebody.
Yeah.
Understand? And it don't matter what you look like, where you come from. When God's will is involved, He will take a nobody, turn them into a somebody in front of everybody. And there's nothing you can do about it. So the only person you got to worry about what they think about you, Laura, is when your eyes close for good.
Yeah.
The mission is you don't get to close them eyes, right? Because your soul is not yours. So nobody wants to basically do what Jason did and Green Ranger himself and fall to that, right? Because they try to use that as a weakness against him, and we know that that's not weak.
He
It's
was
not
not
weak.
weak. He was
It
anything but weak.
right, right. That's the struggle, right? That's the perception we're battling. That when it gets too much, that's even a way out, right? Where is the lie, right? That's what they say. Call me on my lies. Where's the lie? That's the lie.
I
That's
know,
not a way
but
out.
he wasn't weak.
No,
Never.
no, he wasn't. He wasn't. But you can only be strong for too long, for so long, right? Without the proper help. We know Jason had issues. We know a little bit of what he was going through, you know? So, with that being said, there's only one person you have to worry about. When you look up anxiety, cast it upstairs. Everything belongs in the attic. The guy upstairs is there to help it all. That's where you put it, Laura. And you block that communication. When that radio station is telling you you're no good, the negativity's coming in, you're never gonna be nothing, you ain't worth nothing, you can't let it work down to your heart. You see what I'm saying? Like your brain and your intellect is the antenna, right? Your heart is the energy and the force field you create. So everything you get, your top chakra is your head. But as a whole, you're a whole energy ball, right? So that let's say you're a big solar panel, right, Laura? So if you're getting energy from the sun, it's powering your whole body like Superman, right? So why would you let a bad battery or anything up here mess with the whole house, the whole temple? right? You just got to fix the attic. It's leaking from the attic. This is just a vessel. We're just flesh, right? So the anxiety, the feelings, it's all emotions. Emotions are fleeting. They come, they go. Not to be cheesy, when you feel the anxiety and the stress, you want to curl up in a ball on the floor, sit, cross your legs, and meditate. Breathe. Breathing exercises. Listen to your body. Exhale. Try to realign. I know you're not supposed to really talk about chakras and like that, but I know on the religious side there's a little back and forth with that. But I really do believe that the body in the temple has energy. I believe in the mathematics of that and the spirit and having a balance in spirit and stuff like that. So that's all I want to say to you, Laura, is I see how strong you are, but I also see where you get weak, right? I spend more spending time with you, like I said, mine is abandonment issues because I've been through a lot of abandonment type situations where that triggers me to a dark, depressive state when I feel abandoned. So that's what I think yours is too, not feeling adequate to anyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your perception of what people think of you, and it doesn't matter. And everything you've been through hardened you. It hardened you like the blade in the fire, girl. It hardened you. This is your fight now. You're chosen. It's a good thing. Not all superheroes wear capes. Like we said, the Rangers are chosen. When Zordon, right, when he hid the power coins in the movie, pick the ones worthy.
Yeah.
So don't let it seep from the attic to the rest of the house. That's all I want to leave you with.
Thanks.
You know what
Thank
I'm saying? Because your heart is one of a kind. It's like Play-Doh. It's everything you've been through. God is molding it and shaping it. So when you present it to people, they're like, damn, this is sculpted pretty good. How did this happen? Who did this? And that's when you share your story. That's when you get them. So this can be easily manipulated, right?
you.
It's all logical, intellect, mathematics. Emotions don't belong. Emotions up here are just synapse and lights firing. The heart is where it's at, your soul. And you got one of the best ones around, girl, that I know. So, anxiety, who? You know what I mean? Once you get there, then you're battle tested, soul approved. You know what I'm saying? You can battle anything, anyone that comes in your way with a tear. You're very close, Laura, to having that kind of strength. It projects from you. You know what I'm saying? So when you get like that, you need like an armor system. Develop your soul armor. Put the armor of God on, right? Like they say, your soul armor. Be like Iron Man. As soon as you feel that way, tap your chest, tap your heart, and picture an Iron Man suit coming out of your body and protecting your whole thing. As corny as it sounds, create a visual, an exercise, something that physically removes you from the anxiety. You know what I do? Sometimes I'll just leave the house and I'll walk. When your thoughts are racing, just go walk. Or go drive to the park, walk, spend some time in nature, ground your feet, take your socks off, take your shoes off, put your bare feet on the soil, get some electrons from the earth. I'm a different type of person.
When I used to have before my car accident, I used to drive when I
Mhm.
had my anxiety, especially at night. I
Yeah,
just get in the car and drive, and
yeah,
now it's like
yeah. Buy a late night food spot, get a little grub, go on a little date with yourself. Who cares?
I
That's
I have to get the car situation figured out.
yeah, yeah. But see, the same way, right? Check this out. I'm gonna leave you with this and let you guys close out, right? With thoughts. The same thoughts and energy that you use, right, to worry, that's all energy, right? Time, thoughts. Picture that as fuel, right? Like a gas for a different car. You want to use that to fuel the good stuff. Stop it in its tracks and say, nope, we're not doing. No, we're gonna put the premium gas over here. We're not feeding that monster today. We're not feeding that beast. We're gonna take this car today. You're the driver, always. All he can do is this.
Mm.
And you can say, no, I rebuke. I know I'm strong. Give me strength. You know what I'm saying? It's really not to be corny. It really is self-talk, motivation, cutting that. Make your heart louder than the voices. That's all.
No, absolutely.
That's it. I've never met anybody with a heart as big as yours. And I feel like mine's pretty big.
Mm.
But I haven't, you've been through hell. Who can show them heaven better than somebody who's been through hell? Feel me, Laura? So
Mm-hmm.
none of it's real. The devil's a liar. The devil's a liar. That's it. Right? And I'll leave you with one experiment, right? Let's say a word. Let's say Jason's name, right? Green Ranger or whatever. Say Jason. Say it twice in your head or 3 times in your head, right? Jason, Jason, right? Jason, right? The fourth time, say it in your head, but don't move your mouth. No words come out. So it's Jason, Jason, Jason. Now, the fourth time, you probably heard it in your head, but I didn't say a word. What voice is that? What voice is that? You heard something in your mind, right? If I say this I'm going to say Jason 4 times. And I go Jason, 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 right? If I do that enough, you're going to hear Jason in your mind without me saying,
Mm.
right? What voice is that, Laura?
I heard yours.
Well, you know what? Well, exactly. But I didn't say a word, right?
No.
But you heard it in your head. You see what I mean? So there's a voice in there that's your head talking to you. Sometimes you can hear Rican and I won't even be in the room just because it's something I say or something Drew says. When I say Drew, when Drew says, yo, the thing about it, I know he's about to cook on
Um,
somebody. You know what I'm
it's
saying?
funny because the other day I was in the bathroom. I brushed my teeth or something, and I heard Drew say, "Stay awesome, buddy," in his voice.
Yeah. So you're hearing this man's soul, right? In your head. Because you're not saying a word and it's not your thought because it's something Drew does.
What do you think
Right?
about that, Drew? I heard it in your voice.
Oh wow.
That's what I mean. Do you see what I'm trying to tell you? So your soul was with us on the podcast, even though you weren't there, but your thoughts were with both of us. You see what I'm saying? How your soul can be somewhere and your mind can be somewhere that is not necessarily where you're at. But the devil will make you think that to get you all messed up so you no good to nobody.
Yeah, you can't.
That's the key. That's the key. Like this, you're no good to nobody. You're right. But every day he's not whispering in your ear and not knocking you down. He's like, oh man, this girl Laura is figuring it out. She's getting stronger. She's learning how to communicate with people. She's getting better and better every day. Of course, he's going to try to knock you down every day and chip away at the tree with his little axe on your mind. That's what's going on. I feel it too. Every day I wake up without my kids, or, another girl doesn't want to be with me. My parents judging me. Everybody's got their stuff and their people to different levels and there's different levels to pain, right? So anxiety is what we're fighting today. We'll start with that, Laura. This is, heartstrings with Lady Laura. She felt compelled to come and share her anxiety today. We're gonna do quick little segments and show like this, we definitely want you guys to reach out to her. Give her some more content to connect with you, stories she can read online about your lives, what you're going through, emails. She's searching for people to connect with. So maybe in the caption of this video we can put something for Laura, direct contact, maybe an email or something, kind of like I do on my show, Drew. You know,
Mhm.
let's help her out with this heartstrings thing with people. I feel like the people need Laura. So this first episode we started with anxiety. I think we should go into other things, Laura, you want to cover more weaknesses. Start with weaknesses, start with strengths. You know, I hope I shedded some light and I kind of gave some insight mathematically, logically, spiritually on anxiety itself and my philosophy and my dealings with it. I've went through different medications, heart palpitations, rejection, depression. I've had my share. I feel like it's something everybody can relate to. So,
What do you think, Drew?
This is what I think. A very wise lyric slash quote that I take with me everywhere I go came to mind as soon as you asked me. And it's something that I always keep with me. And it was from the Smiths, which is a band you guys probably never heard of.
mhm,
But what they would say is this: it's easy to laugh and show hate, but it takes true strength to be gentle and kind.
mhm,
Love is natural and real. That's what they would say.
yeah,
And I say that to say this, Laura, when most people show hate, anger, laugh and hate and anger or fear, you choose to be gentle and kind. And there is a strength, a bigger strength to be gentle and kind and understanding inside of you. It's easy to lash out. It's easy to choose uh, fire instead of being calm in the storm, in the
mhm,
center,
mhm,
in your core. It's not easy to do that. But see, Laura, the thing about you is that's your go to place. That's your go to place. Every single time you go there, and it's in habit, in nature, and a part of who you are. It is who you are, honestly.
mhm, mhm,
Go to those places more than a majority of the world would go to those places and situations, and you handle yourself so gracefully with everything that you do.
mhm,
And believe me, you may not see it, but a lot of people wish that they could be graceful with how they handle things. Trust me. I
mhm.
remember when I worked at the courthouse years ago,
It's
and I would
admirable.
do things with grace. And I remember a lot of district attorneys and judges and different people would say, how do you handle things so well and graceful and clear? You know, I don't know how you do it, because when I deal with situations, either here, home, whatever, I can't do that. And that was a big thing to look at, because I'm talking to somebody that the world would see with lots of education, right? With lots of time working in heavy duty arenas, right? And they have not figured out uh, this, or the meaning of life, or the understanding of things. And that's one thing you have to realize, is that a lot of people aren't in tune with a lot of things. Only a select group of people are really in tune with a lot of things and can really understand human conditioning, human nature at its worst and at its best. Not everyone can understand that, Laura. Not everyone can be complete in those ways.
Mm,
You can't. My number one hero said something to the effect of, you know, there are abilities in things that I have, and in time, you will learn to use them as I have.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about it is, you have that power too, and you will learn how to use it, and you will
Oh
learn
yeah.
to apply it. And
Mm-hmm.
Ricky, you know who said that?
Hmm.
Mm.
Luke Skywalker said that in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Is that, Princess Leia was looking at Luke like, you have a power like I can never have or never understand, and he says, you're wrong, Leia. He says, you have that power too, and in time you will learn to use it as I have.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and you have to understand that sometimes we worship or see people in a certain light, and it doesn't mean they could very well be that light, right? But the thing is, the right people will show you that you have that ability to be greater than them. And one thing I've told both of you guys is what? You guys have praised me over things, and I appreciate the love, but what have I always said?
Always something great in return.
Yeah, you have that power too.
Mm-hmm.
I've always
Mm-hmm.
told you guys that. What you praise me about is the same thing you could do. Remember, Reek, I always told you that. I said,
Oh
Reek,
yeah.
you could
Oh
do
yeah.
this more and better than I ever could. You just need
Yeah.
the opportunity to show it. And you just need the opportunity to express it and that spotlight and that platform. You could do a lot more than what you think. I've always told you that, right? And then remember one day I just looked at you, Regan, and said, hey, Regan, go ahead, say that. Go ahead and do that. And you
Yeah.
were like, what? And I'm
Honestly,
like,
honestly, Laura, I just want to chime in. Meeting Drew and the relationship with Drew, you need people in your life the same way you've had negative people tell you you're not worth nothing. Since I've met Drew and had Drew in my life and have someone that's pure positivity, optimism, faith, structure, soul, strength, all of that, it bleeds and it spills into my life. And it makes me feel like I can conquer things, like I can express myself, like, because I have someone in my corner, not just cheerleading, but also with their own resume, their own understanding, their own pain, their own that says, hey, you're great too, man. I see it. I've been through it. So we're both telling you that, and I see that in Drew and me. I feel like people like Drew and friends and people around you should bring the best out of you. Is what I'm trying to say.
true.
And ever since I met Drew, and since you've come around, I feel like the best of Rican is coming out. That's your sign. You know, and put those people around you that you feel the best version of yourself, your healed self. You feel like a healed version of yourself around them. And when I talk to Drew for hours, whether it's on the phone, on the podcast, I feel like we could conquer the world, me and this guy. And that's how it should be. So you are the only thing stopping you, girl. Go ahead, Drew. You are the only thing you're up against.
I've always told you guys that there's so much strength inside each of you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much you guys can do and so many people that you can reach and touch more than what you really think you're capable of. And I've seen that from the beginning of
Mm-hmm.
you guys. I see it, the strength exists. But I've also told you guys it won't mean anything coming from me
Mm-hmm.
unless you guys see it. Until you start seeing what you are and what you're about and what you can become, the sleeper will not awaken inside of you. You
Right.
must acknowledge your gifts and your talents and say the sleeper has awakened. Not must, but has. The must was you trying to figure it out, but you got to get to a place where the sleeper has awakened. And now you can go out and you could do these things, you know, um, and face whatever challenges that you might have to go through, and not to reference myself too much, but I mean, you guys know what I have to deal with, every day. I don't feel good. I have to deal with my body reacting in many different ways and anything. But I mean, no disrespect to people that have weight, but you don't see me 400 pounds and depressed. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse to let myself go or get in a place. I make that commitment and I know the importance of that commitment. And I keep that going no matter what adversity is in my face or being thrown at me or landing on the floor on the 4th of July, whatever I get,
Mm-hmm.
I always find a way to deal with it and to get around it. I always find a way to make things possible, the impossible possible. I've never quite laid down in situations. When I was younger and I didn't know my way, I quit. I stepped out. I made excuses. I gave up on myself. I found the easy way out and I never stepped up to it. When I was younger, I was like that. Believe it or not, you guys probably don't want to believe it, but I was that guy. That's why I don't play guitar anymore. I walked away because, I let too many people get in my head. That's the truth. The truth of the matter is why I don't play anymore, why I don't connect with it anymore is because I allowed people to do that to me. And now I feel like I can never return to it. So if you guys want to know Drew's weakness, Drew's this, Drew's that, hey, there it is. I never returned to guitar playing. And I had played from age 13, 14 up until I was like, I don't know, maybe 26, barely, maybe pushing 27. Okay.
Wow.
And I've never returned to it. And you want to know something interesting about it was I felt like it was kind of a curse sitting on me because a lot of, I think I've shared with you, Rican, a lot of the guys that I played with, a lot of them heavy into cocaine. I've got 2 friends. I think I shared with you when my old bass player is talking about coming out here. He had a heavy duty addiction to cocaine. A lot
goes with the lifestyle.
Yeah, they had a lot of drug problems. They had a lot of family problems. They had, I think, was I telling you about the contest my friend used to do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did I tell you about that, Laura? About the cocaine thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, that's what he did. And that's what had happened. So I felt that there was a big curse. I gave up on things. I basically let people lead me by the hand to where they wanted to go, instead of what I wanted to do. My dad was like, oh, you can't play that. Well, you're not good. So I let that get in my head. My mom's like, oh, you can't do that. So you can't be good. I let other people that played some yuppie, crappy stuff I would never play, but I allowed the audience who liked that yuppie, crappy stuff to dictate what was the right thing for me, and I never fought hard enough for it. I fought, but to a point, but never fully in. And I allowed myself to get to a place. And on top of it, I allowed myself to hear those voices. I welcomed those voices because I felt that maybe it was true. Maybe I had no place in this guitar playing world. Maybe I'll never be something that stands out. And it was one of the worst things I ever walked away from, because then years later, I found out from some top players that really had things figured out. You know what they would say? They would say this: don't be what everybody else wants you to be, and don't be what you think is great. If you think Eddie Van Halen, did I age myself? Oh boy. Okay. So Eddie Van Halen was the guitar player for Van Halen. Okay. And he's considered to be one of the best guitar players of the time, right?
Yeah, I know who Van Halen is.
Okay, cool. We're still in.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
Jimmy,
no,
right?
definitely.
Or Jimmy Page or whoever you got. The thing about it was the reason why they were so known and so good is because they came up with things that a lot of people didn't use or had never been done before. When you listen to Jimi Hendrix on a lot of songs, he's like hitting random stuff to like come up with trippy sounds. A lot of his stuff wasn't planned. he's playing it and he's going, oh, I'm going to try this. And I got an idea. I'm going to try that. In the middle of recording sometimes, he would come up with ways. See, that was the thing, not just the guitar, but in life, was that people came with things that had never been tried and never been done. And that's why you hear their name. You see? It's like what was said about Achilles. You guys know Achilles, right?
Mm-hmm.
The legendary hero, the book character that's been around for thousands.
Yeah, Achilles' heel.
Okay. So Achilles, that's where Achilles' heel and Achilles tendon came from. That was from Achilles.
Yep.
When you watch the movie Troy, the most important scene is right at the beginning where the young boy goes to get Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
He says, did you see that giant Thessalonian? He's bigger than anything I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't fight that guy. He'd kill me. And he looks at the boy and he tells him, that is why no one will remember your name.
Yeah.
See, you have to remember these guys, whether if they're guitar players or martial artists, whoever, that we remember.
Mm-hmm.
Why Bruce Lee's still around, why these characters, Chuck Norris, why we remember them is because they did things bigger, better, and unknown. Unknown is the key. They did something that nobody else had thought about or done. They used something that most people wouldn't have done. Do you know where Muhammad Ali learned his trash talking from that made him so known? There was a professional wrestler by the name of Gorgeous George that I'm very familiar with because I like.
Oh, yeah. I've heard that.
So he went and saw Gorgeous George, and Gorgeous George had more heat than anybody else because he talked the bigger game.
Yeah, I've heard that story.
More than anybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he understood that more than anybody else. So he said, I'm going to take that and I'm going to use it and it's going to work for me. So from there came Young Man Rumble, and everything else. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. He talked trash. He even went over to people's houses in the middle of the night that he was going to be fighting. He challenged him, and he talked about how bad they were. It drove him crazy, but it built what was needed psychologically to win the fight, and commercially, it made him popular, right?
No, I see where you're going.
That's the thing. He thought outside of his box. He came up with something new. Back to Eddie Van Halen, right? Come up with something new. He took a power drill and started tapping on his guitar. It sped it up and sounded really crazy cool on an album. And who would have thought? Nobody used a power drill at the time, but he thought outside of his box. That was the thing. People that step outside their box. And guess what? Van Halen had set such a level that Michael Jackson, when you hear Beat It, that's the guitar solo that you hear. That's Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, of course.
And guess what? Michael Jackson wanted to be reinvented at that time. Michael Jackson wanted something revolutionary that changed the game. Who did he find? Eddie Van Halen. You see, because Eddie stepped outside of his box, put in the work, and came up with something different. And Michael saw that and said, I want to be different. I want to step outside my brothers. I want to be revolutionary. I want to make the greatest album of all time. And in order to do that, I need two things. Eddie Van Halen, Paul McCartney from the Beatles, a voice from the past that can really help me. And what happened to that Thriller album? Became the biggest album of all time.
I got it on vinyl.
You've got to step outside your box. Remember, you can never climb the ladder of success with your hands in the pocket. And that's what Arnold Schwarzenegger always says.
Damn.
You had to come up with something different.
Got him for days over here, Drew.
You got to be different. You got to be different. And both of you, not one of you, both of you have that difference inside of you. You must see it. There's a movie I want you both to check out. I will be so upset if you don't check out this movie. It is called Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. Okay? It is one of the greatest martial art movies of all time.
Is that with Bruce Leroy?
Yes.
Oh, I haven't seen it in years, but
okay, you need to go back and watch it because the whole movie is about the main character. It's not what you think. Everybody thinks, oh, it's this, it's that. Everybody misses it. The true essence of The Last Dragon is this. It all deals with a person that has the talent and the ability and not being able to find it inside themselves. And the answer to their query is inside them. There's a song that they play in the movie called Inside You. And his master, his last master, tells him inside you, because Leroy feels that there has to be some sort of grandmaster to get him to the final level of martial arts to make him the ultimate martial artist. Right. And his master, if you remember the beginning of the movie, Ricky, remember they're shooting the arrows and he catches the arrows and he breaks them in half and he's looking for the certain color tip, the blue one, right? Remember? Catch it in his hand. And he goes, he looks and he caught the blue tip. And he said, how did you know that that was the blue one? He says, I do not know, master. He says, you do not know? He said, no. And he rips off, his patch on his chest. And he thinks he's being punished. He's being punished for it, right? And you remember, the master tells him, he laughs at him. He says, I see you've been to the movies again, which means he's living in a false reality. And he's telling him, he's like, it's not a punishment. This is a celebration. You reached the final level. You knew without knowing. What does that mean to you guys?
It's a sixth sense, like an intuition, knowing without knowing. Same thing I said to her before, going in a room and knowing who's in pain.
Laura, how they talk. That?
Yeah.
Knowing without knowing. He knew on pure instinct exactly when not to break that arrow, but to catch that one. He knew because he had trained, put in the work, and done all the homework he needed to. And that's what he tells him. And he says, you knew without knowing. He's like, our journey is complete. And he explains to him, he said, you reached the final level. He said, the last dragon is it. And now you have a new emptiness to fill that only you can cross and you alone can understand. And Leroy goes, master, I need more time to train because I'm confused. He said, good confusion is a part of life, just like love and fear and all those things. You have to live life. That's what he's telling him. Now you get to live life. You are now here. Be ready. You're ready. What else do you need me to tell you? And he says, master, I need more time to train. I need more time. And he says, I am no longer your master, because very much like the Police song, which I know I aged myself, you find out your servant when your servant becomes your master. And that's what happened. The master was no longer the master. Leroy Green was his own master. And that's what he was telling him. So he went on and on about he needed a master. So his master made up a fake master. He gave him a belt buckle that looked fancy and said, give this to the master that's here in New York. His name is Some Dumb Goy. So the whole movie, Leroy is not believing in himself and running around putting that belief on this master named Some Dumb Goy. He finds out Some Dumb Goy is a computer. He's a cookie, a fortune cookie machine maker. That's Some Dumb Goy. It's the thing that makes the fortune cookies for all these different restaurants in New York. That's what it is. And so he goes back to his master. He says, master, why did you send me on this, quest of nothingness? And he's all, so you finally found that master that you were trying to seek. And he's all, he's a computer. And so, well, he's trying to tell him that's the whole point. He gets a fortune cookie, he takes the fortune out of it, and he gives it to Leroy. He gives him the cookie. He says, here, everything that you need to know about the final level and the glow is inside this cookie. He tears up the cookie and there's nothing in it. He just breaks apart on the floor. He says, thank Leroy. And he points at his head. He pushes it at his head. He's like this. He's like, thank Leroy. He says, you just opened a fortune cookie without a fortune, seeking a master that does not exist. And Leroy's looking at him and he's like, enough. He's like, there is one place that you have not looked, and it is there. And he's pointing at him. It is there. You shall find the master. But Leroy's kind of literal all the time. He's totally literal guy. And he's like, now, if you excuse me, I have to catch a flight. And he's all, are you going on a quest for knowledge? Like he thinks he's doing something important. And he looks at me and says, I'm going to go visit my mother in Miami. That's where I'm going. Because he tells him, you're thinking too hard. And that belt buckle, he tells him, he said, you needed a charm. He said, a true master would use this to hold up his pants. And so he tells him, like, sometimes things aren't as literal and as hard as you make it to be. Right. And the fight scene, he fights Shonuff, and Shonuff gets the glow. Leroy doesn't. He gets beat down pretty bad. and he gets his head ducked in the water, and you know the famous line, Shogun saying, "Who is the master?"
Mm.
And the whole time when he's ducking his water, he starts seeing his life, and he sees Vanity tell him, "You look like a master to me," and his master says, "It's inside of you." And then Leroy finally gets it, and then the bad guy says, "Okay, who's the one and only master?" He says, "I am." And the bad guy goes to hit him, and he catches the fist, and he says, "I am." And then he has the power. And then the glow gets around him, right? And he stops the bad guy, gets the girl. He has confidence to take on the girl. She's happy. The life comes together. Things beautiful. Life is great. That's what happened because he believed in himself. He finally saw what everybody was telling him. His parents told him. His brother told him. The girl he wanted told him. The bad guy even told him. Everybody told him that he was afraid of the very thing himself. But if he believed in himself, he would be the master. It's just that he would never see it. And he let those negative voices get in, but they really came from himself. Everyone challenged him. The bad guy challenged him. They attacked his family, ripped up his family's restaurant to get him to fight, to get him to be something. And he still wouldn't do it. He just got mad. But it's like, no, you have to face this valley of the shadow of death. Because you will fear no evil. God is with you. And when you get through that valley, you'll have the glow, buddy. But you got to see it. So I want you both to watch that movie. Not later this week. Not later. I want you to watch it. What's right? Tomorrow. I want you guys to watch this movie tomorrow. And when we meet before we get with OG, I want to hear what you guys have to say because I think once you catch on to this movie, and I think once you see the message behind the movie, you will understand things in a whole nother way. I carry this movie, and I've carried it with me since I've seen it since I was 4 years old. I've carried it. My cousin and I have a cousin who lives in Tennessee. He had it on video, recorded. We used to watch it every day in the 80s as a kid. Like every summer I went out there, we watched it sometimes 4 or 5 times. It played in my head and played in my head and played in my head. And when I became an adult, you connect all those wonderful things and you go, I get it. I totally get it. So
you're the real Bruce Leroy.
I guess so. Viking knows the actual guy, Tomahawk. So I want to take his
There we
time.
go. You heard it first. Bruce Leroy, aka Drew Danger.
And MS multiple sclerosis, Leroy, but I'll take it, but it's that message. And it's the journey and message that lives inside of us. What lives in Leroy Green, Bruce Leroy himself, lives in Luke Skywalker, lives in Rocky Balboa, lives in Apollo Creed, right? Lives in Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport. I won't say Frank Dukes because the real dude's a trip, but we'll say Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport, okay? Lives within Chuck Norris, lives within Bruce Lee, lives within Brandon Lee, lives within Shannon Lee, lives within Superman, lives within Batman, lives within Gambit and Wolverine and the X-Men and Tommy Oliver, lives within inside us, lives within Jason David Frank, lives within Bret the Hitman Hart, lives within Ric Flair, lives within inside of us, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Mike Tyson, lives within inside of them, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Dolph Lundgren, Jeff Speakman, lives within all of us, lives within each and every one of you. And that includes you too. So you can either see it or not see it. But I would tell you, as someone who should not be walking right now at this moment, as advanced as my MS is and survived chemotherapy and a stem cell transplant, who got septic shock, almost became sepsis, and was skin turned white and was on his way out to the other life. And my wife was holding me together with the nurses, and my skin went from gray to white and losing bodily function in the intensive care unit, all that stuff like that. As somebody that was right there and has been dead before then too.
Complete temple shutdown, really.
I'm still here, and I'm not in a wheelchair permanently.
Like Henry says, battles with the Reaper.
That's right. I have battled. Remember, I told you to listen to Blue Oyster Cult, which, Laura, you did. Don't fear the reaper. I don't
Mhm.
fear him.
Mhm.
You see, because my time is not yet, and this I know.
It's not up to us.
It's not. It's not.
That's where the free will comes in, and taking your own life and doing all that kind of thing because
I've been close to medically close to death before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, pretty close, and my prayer always was, okay, if this is my time, God, take me into your kingdom, because I really thought that was it. Just like when I had COVID the second time, I had a lung collapse,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up in the hospital on sedation, on oxygen, so I get it, true. Yeah.
Yeah. And OG will tell you guys he was actually pretty much flatlined from COVID.
Mhm.
Um,
mm,
he was gone, and they resuscitated him twice
wow.
underneath an hour, and he's here. We'll tell you. Like it's not done. It's not over.
Well, we'll
You know?
definitely get his conversations in on this stuff too. I can't wait
Yeah,
to see
he'll
what
tell you a lot about it.
OG says about depression and anxiety and them type of things too, Laura. You can hit him with those, you know.
That's exactly the questions I thought I'd ask.
Yeah,
He
you
will.
know.
He'll talk to you about it because you guys have to realize this: how much anxiety and depression and not being able to sleep you're gonna have when you got some big dude named Chocolate Thunder, sitting on your bunk and you're stuck in a jail cell with him and you can't get out. You got no choice but to stay in that place. That's what it is. You're in prison. You gotta live there.
Oh man,
You're stuck there, and dudes looking over at you. How
the
much
butt
anxiety
pirates.
you're gonna have, and how did OG survive and overcome and be the guy that he is today, living in that environment for as many years as he did, knowing that there were predators, vultures, booty bandits, whatever you want to call them,
Hmm.
leaning over you and coming at you, and he made it through that, and a lot of people cannot claim that, and a lot of people do not come out on top out of that situation,
Hmm.
but he did, and he came back stronger and better. You
I,
know?
I think something I wanna leave you guys with. Sometimes your soul can irritate people's demons.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
I think a lot of that, as you grow stronger and you get past a lot of your traumas, you're gonna notice that people who haven't battled them demons, who haven't dealt with that, when you're around, they'll try to kind of make you succumb to their inadequacies that way.
Yes.
So it's like once your light is that bright, you know what I'm saying? The shine, the light, it's like being in a dark room. Your shine is going to be like, get away because they haven't dealt with that part of themselves.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So you can really be a voice and a pariah for people who haven't done that light
Yeah.
work within themselves.
Hmm.
So getting you right and doing all this and having these segments like this is good for, the love you have for Jason, what he went through, his fans, because that can be a way they can connect with you of how through Jason's heart was and how, all that kind of thing. So I hope I hope this helped. I hope this put some perspective
I
and
did.
gave you a different way of thinking because it's all kind of perspective and the body follows the mind.
Mhm.
When they hand a cancer patient or someone a diagnosis, right? True, they usually handing them a death sentence. When they
That's
tell you
true.
only got 3 months to live,
Yeah.
the moment you hear that, your mind can manifest that. And sometimes, depending on the person, it can happen sooner, it can happen longer, and they can say, "Nah, screw you. You ain't gonna tell me when I'm gonna die," and then fight that
Yeah.
and last longer than that. And then some people will just let go and be like, I'm going out anyway. And next thing you know, they're dead in a week.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's really how mind over matter. It really is. It's mind over matter. And think about it like molecules are always moving, right? Atoms, and
Yeah.
they're really never touching. None of this is even real. Atoms and
That's true.
molecules, they don't even touch. unless they're moving.
Mhm.
So to me, life is moving through spiritually, physically, mentally, whatever you're going through, move through it. When shit hits the fan and we're in the end times and there's nowhere to run, what do? You run. You be safe. You
Yeah.
be safe by being on the run, by moving away from the danger. Move through it. Get through it. So I think that the key just to science of everything is to keep moving. If you're stuck in your life, if you feel stagnant, if you feel dormant, you're get moving. Get moving. Do something with your heart. Do something with your spirit. Adjust your diet. Make some changes. Self-awareness.
Bless
Bless
you,
you.
Laura.
Thank you.
Self-care, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
On
You
this
guys
on
go
this
to Sunday school when
to
you were little?
church?
Yeah, go to Sunday school. Did they ever
Yeah.
sing, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine?
Oh yeah.
Remember, and what you were saying, if you hide it, don't hide it, show it.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, the people that are out there,
Hmm.
I've had people go, I don't like you because you're nice. I've had
Yeah.
people really tell me that. And it's like, what? And it's just like, well, I don't like you because you're nice. Because there's this darkness in them. And
Yeah.
they don't like the light. They're battling in between dark and light,
Mhm.
and they don't really want to deal with it. And they want to lash out at you, hoping that it will lower you to where they are. Because then
Your
they feel
vibration.
better. Misery loves company. They want that to be miserable like them. And I refuse to let that happen to me. So I didn't let that bother me or mess up my stride with where I was going, you know? And because of that, I was always blessed. I may not have seen it at that moment, but some of these people came back and said, "You know what? I was wrong. This is better." Some people they did that. A lot of people did that. They always came back around full circle because I just refused to like let it bother me. And I
Hmm.
knew that there was a path for me, and what that path may be, I might have an answer for. I might not know yet. But what I did know was there was something. And I
Hmm.
just had to keep going on this journey in this direction and this direction to get somewhere. And from it, the answer would be revealed to me in the right time. And so I kind of just kept on that path. I never let people stop me, and your family sometimes could be your worst enemy,
Oh
and
yeah.
they could really, mess with you and pull on you and not believe in you. My mom was never my biggest fan, but it's funny now. I don't let her slide off of that one. I was like, Ma, you told me this, and well,
Hmm.
it wasn't so. She's like, I never said that, because now reality has come to her. I've
Hmm.
accomplished things, and now she can't say that it
Right.
was so, right? So that's what her thing is like. Oh, I never said. I believe that you could. I know that you could make those spaceships and do all those things. I was like, you didn't, and you wanted me to throw away all my stuff. So
Hmm.
no, that's not true. But it gets to a point where people cannot deny what excellence you've shown. In
Hmm.
life, things that you accomplished, the people that you've reached, the things you could help, because you've moved past them. Where they could not do, you did. Where
Right.
they could not go, you went.
Yeah.
Where they could not connect, you connected. You see?
Just like when Jason's gone, his spirit lives. He
Mhm.
may not be here, but the Green Ranger will never die. Tommy Oliver will never die.
No, he
Jason.
passes
Jason
on to
David
every
Frank
kid.
will never die. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Now, even though he's not with us, he's eternal.
Yeah.
The Green Ranger has achieved eternal life in this world, which ultimately doesn't matter, but at least, like you said, if you want to be remembered, make your mark. That's
yeah,
what I tell my son, make your mark. When I'm gone, you're going to see your daddy and you're going to be, man, daddy did his thing. It's all I can do. All I can do, and leave them. They're going to be their own people. They're going to grow up. They're going to have families. They're going to go through trials and tribulations. I'm going to have these talks with my kids. Daddy, I'm depressed. Daddy, this person hit me or hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Or watching people with kids understand too. Live through your kids too in a good way. All the stuff that hurt you, all the stuff that you've been through, show them how to get through it properly. That's the beauty of that. So
Absolutely.
anyone with kids is like, man, use their struggles and their as a way to get you going, because it's about them. You've been through it, you survived, you're standing tall. Like, that's my biggest fear is man, how do I even walk my kids through this? Because we're all just walking each other home. I'm trying to be a lighthouse in here. And what does a lighthouse do? It just sits there. It tells where all the ships to come in, to come home. Here's where the lights are. Here's where the shore is at. That's all I want to be, is lighthouse. I may not have all the answers, but I know the shore is right here. You know what I mean?
True.
So it's like, when you take that approach and that aspect, we're all, regardless of what religion you come from, what background, we're all walking each other home. This is going to end. For us individually, for us as a race, humans, everything, at some point, you're not going to be here. So something bigger than you has to matter.
True.
So when you feel this big and you feel small and you feel depressed and you feel inadequate and your demons are winning, remember that the devil is a liar. The devil's a
True.
liar. God is the truth, devil is a liar. It's that simple. Yin and yang, light and dark. What you're gonna feed, and not your diet, not what you eat. Also, it's what you consume with your eyes, your ears, what you say with your mouth, what you project, what comes back. It's everything. Bring everything back to formula, Laura. I am not this person anymore. My trauma does not define me.
Yeah.
What people say about me does not define me.
Yeah.
I am rock solid within. My light shines from within out, not the other way around. They can't put a blanket over you and stop you from shining. They can't do that. And not good enough for what? Exactly. When you feel not good enough, what are we talking about? Good enough for what? Do you even know what you're not qualified for?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So that thought within itself, when you break it down, Laura, right? I'm not good enough. Good enough for what?
Exactly.
What are
Remember,
we?
Laura?
People don't even know what we're doing, Laura. They don't even know where to go. You at least know where the direction is, where you should be.
Yeah.
It's just getting there. You understand? So most people who sit down, who judge you and think you're weak or depressed or anxiety, oh, anxiety's not. It's because they ain't doing nothing. They Netflix and chilling. They sitting in the hamster wheel. They too scared to fix their traumas, to change this world, to do anything worth of value. Passion, right? Purpose, profit, Green Ranger Creed. Half the people you don't even gotta worry about, Lord, because they ain't doing nothing. They're
That's
not
right.
even saving their own souls, and they're just sitting there yapping at you at a comment or on the internet. Half these people, we're all walking each other home. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. No one has it all figured out, and the person who refuses to learn and doesn't learn anymore knows nothing.
That's
Knows
right.
nothing. Knows nothing. So you're getting all worked up and you're battling your old self when you're not that person anymore.
That's
You're
true.
you're Lady Laura now. You're not you're not the old person that was said to, or they said all those things to. That doesn't. Throw them in the paper shredder. Write them all down. Put them in a paper shredder. Do a physical way of getting rid of it. Write all that stuff down they used to tell you and call you and run it through a shredder. Take a day, you know what I'm saying? Light a nice light candle, take some prayers, whatever it is that gets you in your mode, and just write down everything everyone's ever said to you that triggers you. Run it through the shredder. Then put it in a garbage can, go outside, and then burn all the paper. I'm serious. I'm
True.
not trying to be a cornball. I'm not
It's
trying to
true.
be a cornball. Make it a ritual, Laura. That person dies today. We're gonna have a funeral service. I'm gonna write down everything that triggers me, everything that bothers me. I'm gonna shred it and burn it.
No,
because
that's
it's
true.
just words. It's just words. If they don't penetrate, they don't affect. And if they can't get past the Power Ranger helmet to the heart, you're unstoppable. Now I don't care what they say about reconranging. I've hung out with you too much that now I actually believe. You know what I mean? I can be a damn Power Ranger. Rather than Ninjetti. So I got my haters. Oh, you'll never save the brand. It's dead. What's wrong with you? Do something else. Well, you don't see what I see. You don't see what I see, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. That's what it's about.
I
So
agree.
hopefully, we we got the little shoulder thing going on with you. You know what I mean? We're here, shrug your shoulders, pick you up. Sometimes you need people to lift you up.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you need that, hey, get up, we're not done. And that's what good people are for. You know what I mean? I've had plenty of people do that for me. So I'm rooting for you, Laura. Anything you need, and I'm enjoying the journey. I'm enjoying watching you blossom and spread your wings and recognizing your power, becoming a ranger, man. I'm becoming one too. And I feel like, Drew's like, I'm going out like a G. That's it. We all got our missions. We all got our purpose, right? We got our passions.
Mm-hmm.
The profits, whatever, that'd be nice, but we know we're not here for that. So the only thing you got to figure out is what type of ranger you're going to be, girl.
Yeah. And remember,
So,
Laura, Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. Remember, I sent you that clip, right? Remember what that was about? Remember? Trying to live up to all these people and everything.
mm-hmm.
And really, they had the ability in them to be something great, but they wanted to be like all those people they thought were great. But what did she find out? They really weren't that great.
Mm-hmm.
They really were not. They've been living this since high school, and reality was it stunted their growth. And once they realized that it was much more to life than just living up to these people, they truly lived for themselves for real. And things came together, right? They got the place they needed. Everything came together the way they needed because finally they were opening their eyes to what really needed to happen and not living in other people's shadows that they thought were better because they weren't better. That was the thing. They never were. It's just they allowed themselves to believe that they weren't as good as they were.
Mm-hmm.
You have to accept the fact that all these things and people and stuff that they're not as good as you. You are just the same as they are. It's just that you allowed yourself to believe that you're not as good, that you can't do as much. You allowed. Sometimes we got to do the David Goggins and say, forget it. And Rick and I know you know who he is. And just say, hey, I can't pass Navy SEAL training the first time. I'm going to do Hell Week twice. And I already am a Air Force paratroop and rescue. Now I'm a Navy SEAL. I passed it. Now I'm going to Army Special Forces Ranger School. Now I passed that. And he just kept going. Now I'm in Guinness World Book of Records for pull-ups. Now he just kept going. Now I'm marathon running. He just kept going. He didn't stop. And OG met him. Oh, I never told you guys that, did I? Did I tell you that? He went to the same gym as David Goggins. And he went and talked to David Goggins, and David Goggins said, man, own that stuff. You lie, you mess up, you this, just own it, man, and keep coming at it hard. He just told OG, and he said, you know what, man, I'm in the middle of my workout right now, and I need to finish it, and you need to go get to yours. So see, that's just what it was. And he ran in the gym in the middle of hot Las Vegas on 120 outside, no shoes, running because he was doing barefoot running. He run in the gym, do 1,000 pull-ups, jump back out of the gym, go run some more. And that's how people saw him at the gym in Las Vegas. Because he was just that driven.
Yeah.
He was just that driven. And that's just what it is. And, he found ways to make it work. And he was a out of shape, really overweight guy at one time that sprayed for cockroaches for Orkin, and that's what he did. He drank a chocolate shake every night and passed out. And then one day he wanted to change and realized that he could do it. And the thing that inspired him was Rocky. The last round of Rocky was what inspired him to go the distance and to get up when life thinks it's knocked you down and you think that you've lost, and you find something in you to help you stand up and show the world that you're not done yet. And you have the look of Apollo Creed when he was terrified when he saw that, when Rocky
Mm-hmm.
stood up and went
Yeah,
through the.
Rocky's such a great story. We're gonna do our show on Rocky with
Oh,
Strife.
for
We're gonna
sure, we
definitely do
gotta
that.
do Rocky.
So, I mean, how you guys feeling? You want to close this out, Laura? How you
Yeah,
feeling?
All right, Laura.
Absorb all that. Give us a recap, and then we'll close out.
I feel better. Definitely
Feel much
feel.
better, or what?
Yeah, yeah. I yeah. I'm still kind of reeling, but I feel better.
Yeah,
So
you're gonna have to spend a lot of time with yourself. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's very hard doing work and on yourself, especially light work. It's very isolation. There's a lot of isolation. There's a lot of alone time, reflecting, talking with God, talking with yourself. That's all. Just keep going, keep pushing, and I think you're here for a reason, and I think He gives this right the hardest battles to His best warriors. Me and Drew say that
True.
all the time. And I think everything you've been through has made you battle tested to the point where when you get up, right, the devil's like, oh, she's up again. You know what I mean? There she is. Another day I got to deal with her, saving souls and helping people. Let me throw something in her way. Let me try to distract her, make her feel inadequate, or she's not good enough. That's the only way I can slow her down. That's your Achilles heel. That's it. That mental mode, that perspective, that mentality. He ain't got no new tricks, Laura. He has that acid drip on your mind. That's it. That's it. So that's all I want to say on anxiety, man. Anxiety, worry. Half the time it's not even real. Worrying is literally a waste of energy. You're applying your mental, physical, and spiritual energy to something that may not even happen.
Yeah,
May not even happen.
it's
So
true.
think about that. And time is the only thing we can't get back. And you know that when you're working at that job you don't want to be at and you're watching that clock and it's going slow as hell.
mhm.
You can't get none of that time back. No diss to anybody in the hamster wheel, but that's just not the life for me. And a lot of my family misunderstands that and they judge me for it. But I also do what I got to do so that I can be remembered and that my kids can understand what I fought for. So it's deeper than that for me. Anybody can make money. What are we doing? What are we leaving our kids? Where's the passion? How can I change the world so my kid ain't waking up in a depressed, manic state all the time? In the most microwave era we've ever had in history. So this is fight one. We're gonna battle anxiety. We're gonna battle depression. Um, what else? You guys, loneliness, relationships. This is
Yeah,
not just comics and culture and Power Rangers. Our leader lost. Our leader lost himself to this stuff. So it's our job to make sure you guys know where the fight's really at. I'll leave it at that. So, like I said, your boy Rican is always here for the cause. Soul first. Everything's after that. So I thank you guys for opening up and sharing. I enjoy these type of segments and spiritual ties to you guys because it really is spiritual warfare. If there was any message and anything you can get out of me, um, there's a war going on outside that nobody can even see, let alone be safe from. No weapon form shall prosper. You know the deal. Oh, I walk through the valley. You guys know what time it is. You know what time it is. Time to reset your mind, reset your mentality, reset your purpose, reset your passion, and use every breath that God gave you on this earth for moving forward, whatever form of that is for yourself. Because you're still here, you're still breathing. So with that being said, anybody needs Rican, Double Dragon Comics. You already know. Everybody we love, man. Tales on the Consumer, Henry, Laura, Drew, everybody. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for more. So I'll leave it to you guys. That's really all I got. No one is you. That is your power. I'm gonna keep saying it. No one is you. That
That's
is
true.
your power, right? And then God will take a nobody in front of everybody, right?
And make them, yeah,
Make them somebody, right?
it's true.
Or turn nobody into a somebody in front of everybody.
I always said Moses had a speech impediment, and when he
Mhm.
spoke, he didn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
God gave him the tools that he needed.
David sent a guy to his death, right? He took someone's wife, sent him to his death.
Mhm.
Every single person in the Bible was flawed. So start there. Start the battle's inside here, and separate the heart from the mind, right? Because the heart can be the mind can be deceived, the heart can be led astray, but follow that divine law and keep pushing. So that's all I got for you guys. Love y'all. KOD. We're here, man. We're here. Knights of the Dragon, Rise of the Ninjetti. You already know. Um, Double Dragon Comics, Trade King Productions. More on the way. More on the way. Me and Drew cooking. We got a lot of stuff going on. Laura's finding her footing, so there's going to be plenty of more where this came from. Let us know where you guys want to go with all of this. We're here for the fans too. People who miss Jason. Uh, Anybody going through depression, anxiety, all these type of things, and have nowhere else to go, we're here for you guys. So I salute all of y'all. Keep that head up always. So I'll leave the floor to you guys.
Absolutely.
Sure.
You want to go, Laura?
You go ahead.
Well,
You
Drew's
sure?
gonna close this out, so give your last thought, and then Drew will close it out.
Um, well, I just
Leave him with something. What are you gonna take from all this? If you have to leave him with a bar, right? Leave us with a line. Give us a one line.
my default never say I can, never say I can't, always say I can,
Mhm.
live fearlessly.
There you go. No fear.
True.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you for coming down to check us out. We appreciate this is a very important episode, if not the most important episode, I would say, where we really talked about some deep things. And there will be many more conversations because I think you guys all need it. Rican promoted everything and everybody. And I am going to leave us with this something said by Master Splinter, which was, some of us choose to face these battles and these things and these anxieties by ourselves. But in there, we are given people that we can count with us as warriors, as people that we can trust. And sometimes we forget them. We must not forget them. And more importantly, we must not forget ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and those that are with us. And remember, they are here and they are here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget that. All right,
Yes.
guys. Knights of the Dragon going out. Still Team Gambit for life.
R.I.P. JDF always.
Always, guys. Thank you.